Hello everyone, this is the Module 9 assignment overview video. If you look in the module introduction for Module 9, you'll see that the content that is discussed in this video is about privacy. But remember that this is still going to emphasize the rhetorical context feature the audience. So when you read these texts about privacy, know that you're going to have to answer questions specifically about the specific audiences for each text. I'm actually going to walk you through the readings. I'm going to click on the second one first, the one that says 3 Simple Rules for Protecting Your Data. So when you look at this text that's presented on this webpage, you want to be able to infer who the audience is based on the type of text that's presented, the language that's used, and the stylistic features that are presented as well that actually portray this information. So, for example, this is the Atlantic, which is a popular journal, or a popular magazine, rather. If you scroll down a little bit, you see we've got really large text here for some reason, and we've got some artwork that's going on, and even as I'm moving my mouse, you can see that there's kind of this little glittering effect. So, the presentation of information has rhetorical or persuasive a rhetorical or persuasive aspect to it. So having large text might be off-putting for some people, and they might go, I don't even want to read this. Or for some people who are maybe older, they'll go, this is perfect for me, I can actually see what's on the screen. Artwork and things also has a rhetorical effect as well, and the little glittering part on the mouse. So you need to think about, well, what kind of audience is this text actually catering to? Does this seem to be like really professionally laid out information, or is it more casual? So you have this artwork, and I'm just scrolling down, we're not looking at the words yet. We have it, it continues. And then we've got, here's the 3 simple rules. Look at this, they're blocked off nice and neat, almost like bullet pointed information, nice and short. 3 simple rules, 1, 2, and 3. And then some more artwork for whatever reason, and then there's some action plan stuff that's bulleted for people to choose from. So when you're looking at this, you should be thinking about the style in which it's presented. Generally, if you're getting artwork in the background and little glitter effects, it's for a more casual audience. Okay? And also, you know it's a casual audience because you've only got 3 very basic rules about how to protect yourself online, how to keep your information private. This is a really complex subject, though. There's a lot that's involved in it. So if you've got a breakdown of 3 rules that are very generic, then you know that this is for a general, more casually interested audience. Okay? And it's a laid-back display of the information with the artwork as well. Now, think about the language that's used. There are some words in here like conceptualize and intuitive, and so those are not at a low level of linguistic comprehension, right? But it's not extremely high either. So you want to look at the language and think, okay, is this going to be low-level language or high-level language or somewhere in the middle? And really it's somewhere in the middle. So this is targeting like average casual users who just want to learn some basic things about how to protect their information online, right? And so they give 3 basic rules. Now, in the questions, in the assignment though, I'm going to pull out to the actual Module 9 assignment. You'll see that the first question says to describe the author of each of the texts. We've only looked at one so far. And their purpose for writing. Well, so the author is, right here, Ellen Cushing. And she is publishing for The Atlantic. So we've just described the author, Ellen Cushing, a publisher for The Atlantic. But what is her purpose for writing? That is, why is she writing this? Well, you have to think about, what is the information about and who is she targeting? Well, she's targeting a general audience that has a casual interest in this for basic privacy protection, right? And her purpose then is to present what? Oh, 3 simple rules for managing your privacy. Bada bing, bada boom. We now have an answer to at least the first text for number 1, for the first question. Describe the audience of the text. Well, I've talked about that a bit. What features, linguistic and stylistic, etc., of each text indicate the target audience for the text? So for the example we just went over, you want to point out things like the artwork, the little glittering thing on the cursor, the language that's used. Give some specific examples of language to show that this is for people who have some education and some technical capability, but it's not focused for people that have like necessarily a really high education or anything of that sort. The third question, what different concerns might the readers of each text have about digital privacy? Well, generally, this is 3 rules for managing your privacy, so they want to manage their own information and keep it safe. That's a concern for people that are going to use this source. But you can also take a look at things like this, where they talk about, oh, maybe these are average users who just also want to protect their children online. Or I'm an average user and I don't want my likeness, meaning like my photos of me being online, or I'm worried about hackers. So these are all things that you could reference for concerns that people who look at this page might have. The last question is the more difficult one, in my opinion. It says, if you had to write similar information about digital privacy, which again is the topic, in a traditional medium, a new medium, and an academic medium, what would each presentation of the information look like? In other words, how would you go about presenting this information to each audience, and which features, linguistic and stylistic, would you use to target each audience? So let me break this down for a second. A traditional media, because it's plural, it's media if there's more than one, include things like newspapers, magazines, television, radio programs, and nowadays, since the internet has been in people's homes for long enough, blogs and websites could even be traditional media now. New media is going to be things like TikTok videos, the YouTube video kind of movement, social media, and academic mediums, or the academic medium. There's essentially one, which is scholarly published articles. They actually type these studies that they do into scholarly articles that get published in academic journals, and those journals are published both physically in paper that you can get in texts, and also they're put online. Okay, so the question though is asking, if you had to write about digital privacy, and you had to write about it in each of these 3 mediums, what would the presentation look like in each of those mediums? So you have to think, what language is used in a newspaper? Is it low level, high level, mid? Okay. What style is it used? Well, it's a lot of text with maybe a picture or 2. Whereas a magazine, you have a decent amount of text and more pictures, generally. Think about if you were to do it in a newspaper, in a television program or a radio program. What would it look like in that medium? What stylistic elements would it have? What language would it use? Okay, the same thing for a new medium then. For example, I heard someone was watching a TikTok video in the hall yesterday, and it was so fast-paced. Like the speaker just spoke, and there were edits. They edited out all the pauses, and it was very fast-paced. And I thought, oh, well, that's a feature of the new medium. Fast-paced, entertaining, right? It had video, of course, that went along with it, so there was the visual element, so you need to talk about that for a new medium. And then the academic medium is going to be that it's going to be highly organized information presented with strict formatting guidelines. There's going to be a very high level of language because scholars publish that information for other scholars, right, for other academics. So you need to think about the style of the presentation and the language that's going to be used in each medium. Now, I'm not saying that you have to give me a breakdown of how you would do it in a newspaper and how you would do it in a blog and how you would do it in a YouTube video. Pick one example from traditional, one from new, and one from academic, and just kind of give me some comparison there. That's what that's what we're aiming for. But we've only looked at one text. Let's look at the other text. The other text is the Americans and Privacy text. This is a very different source. Pew Research Center. Okay, so this is a research center that compiles data. And if you just scroll down on this, you see that, oh, there's all this data here. Look how it's organized. Do we see artwork and stuff? Nope, it looks much more professional. There's language in here that is of a higher level as well. If you actually look up at this area, and if you were to click and download the report, it's 63 pages of data. So you have to think to yourself, okay, who are the authors for this? Well, we've got this person and all these other people, and they are part of Pew Research Center. And who is their target audience? Well, it's going to be people who want the details, right? People who want to see data. They want to dive in deep and learn more about people's perceptions of privacy and their concerns about privacy at a national level. And so this is going to be for people who they're not casual observers or casual users. They want the specifics. They're probably much more invested and much more interested in this. And so as a result then, these people tend to also have a higher education level. And so there's a little bit of a higher education level that's required to understand the data and to understand the language that's used. And the stylistic features include like those tables, those graphs, and so forth. Okay, so you now have good material to work with for answering these questions and comparing the audiences for these two texts. Now, I posted an announcement, tips for Module 9, that shows some detailed things. When you cite information, because you're going to need to cite both texts, when you do the one that has all that data presented, there's a little cheat. Well, not a cheat, but a feature that you can use. Instead of having to list every author, you list the last name of the first author and et al., which means and all the other people that go along with this person, all the other authors. So you're going to do that for your in-text citations. And you're also going to do that for your works cited entry. And I've given you the works cited entry for that. Okay? Remember, you need to make sure that you follow the works cited entry formula. Some people are missing that. Author's last name, comma, their first name, period. The title of the article in quotation marks with a period inside, like this one. Okay? Then it's going to be, oh, I don't know why that didn't italicize. That should be italicized. The publisher and container should be italicized. Then the year and then the URL. Actually, I'm going to go in and, well, that's an error there. So I'm glad we pointed that out because that's a feature for you to see. The publisher and the container should be italicized. So take a look at these tips and they will be helpful to you as well. If you have any questions, send me an email. Thanks.